Championships are only the beginning. Dynasty Road.
I hope.
All right, so we're talking today about, do team situations matter? So I know what my answer is. What's your answer?
I'm a weirdo. Yes and no.
All right. So my answer is yes, unequivocally.
Yeah. Okay.
Why yes and no for you?
Because a team situation, like you think about even just with like the Denver Broncos. All right. So you have Williams gets drafted, but Melvin Gordon's already there. So that team situation, you would think, well, yeah, he's on his way out. Maybe Williams wasn't going to be that used. Maybe he'll be pushed to the back. Like he won't be that relevant. He's only started one game officially, but yet his rushing total is more than Gordon, and he's third in the team in receptions. So it's like the team situation might say, okay, this is, the incumbent's already in there because he's not old. Melvin Gordon's only 28, so
Yeah.
It's not like he's ancient of days. But I think like, a team like the Jets, though, you get into the Jets and they were just atrocious. And you're going to go into the Jets and that team is, or even with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the coach and, some of the offensive line woes, you get into that type of situation and you're going to pay for it. It's just, you're going to have a hard time. You're not going to be relevant that much.
Okay.
Now,
if you take the Jaguars and the Jets,
yep.
You got two different scenarios, because with the Jets, I know going into it, it's probably going to be a bad situation for any fantasy player.
Right.
So, and that's perpetual. Like that's a perennial situation.
Yeah.
Now the Jaguars, on the other hand, do you really, going into the season, do you really have an idea as to what the team situation really is?
A little bit, just because of they got the first pick the year before.
Okay.
So you're hoping that, like, okay, a new coach came in, a new quarterback. They have already the wide receivers kind of already there. Chenault was going to be in his second or third year, that jump up. A couple of key parts in there. The defense wasn't horrible, but they weren't great. You would expect a better jump, I would think.
So what do you think accounts for the fact that it was a pretty bad situation this year for fantasy in Jacksonville?
So you could look at it as,
like, what's your number one?
One would have been the coach, and two, maybe Lawrence isn't as hyped up as everyone thought he was. Mm-hmm. Him and Jared Goff have the worst passing rating over 20 yards. So he's on par with Jared Goff.
Okay.
So, true, maybe Chenault hasn't developed like everyone thought he was going to. They're dealing with Robinson as their running back, which they drafted a running back who got injured. So they weren't relying on Robinson, who I think was, I don't think he was even drafted. He was like a free agent after the draft.
Yeah.
Guy.
Yeah. Robinson wasn't drafted.
Right. So he wasn't even drafted. I mean, they got all they could out of him. Chark got injured. That's the guy who stretches the field for them. So there was a couple of other issues, but the two biggest are coach and quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you look at the Patriots, they have a rookie quarterback, but they have a good coach. And they insulated the rookie quarterback and helped him progress and didn't make him do more than what he needed to do. So that team situation was great for him. Now, their offensive line for the last 2 games has been horrible. I mean, with the Bills rushing 3 guys and putting pressure, that's a whole nother issue. But yesterday's game.
Yeah. Well, it leads me to the question with team situations, what causes are there certain teams that you should just absolutely avoid year in and year out? So I'm thinking Jacksonville, Jets, Houston, Detroit, even Miami a little bit is in there too. When it comes your turn during the draft and you've got that rookie or any player, and you're looking at it and you're like, I can remember 2 years ago, came to my pick, and I had my choice between DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, DK, what's his name?
Metcalf.
No, DK, J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, J.K. Dobbins. Okay.
J.K. Dobbins. And I took Dobbins.
Okay.
Because I looked at Swift and I was like, everything I've read is good about him. He's got the pass catching ability.
Right.
And then I'm like, Detroit. And I skipped over him, and he had a fantastic year in his rookie year. And is he a third-year player?
Second.
Oh, he's second. Yeah, so that was 2 drafts ago.
Yeah.
So what accounts for that?
A bad team. A bad team where you have, and that's why I think going forward, you're going to see a lot more teams grabbing running backs that can catch. Because even with, I think it was yesterday with the Bills and the Patriots, it's like the Patriots are playing almost like a prevent defense, and they were kind of leaving that 5 or 6, 7 yard cushion. Running back goes right out, tosses him the ball. Okay, there you go. Running back goes right out, tosses him the ball. Me and you could do that, so you don't have to be a great quarterback in order to do that. But then now you're a good team because all the guys are focusing in on the running back, and not the running backs, the wide receivers and tight ends. And the running back just goes right out, 5 yard catch, boom, 5 yard catch, boom. You move the sticks. And now all of a sudden your running back is fantasy relevant on a team that might only win 3 games.
Okay, so let me ask you
Whereas
this.
Someone like Henry or even Harris from the Patriots who don't catch the ball, Henry is a beast, but with Harris, he has to come out. He's not there. He's not, he's not looked upon as being someone that they can rely on a lot of downs. If they're coming back, if you're coming back, Henry's in the game because he can just bowl over people. But if you're coming back, if you're down by 2 scores, you're not going to have Harris in the game. You're going to have a pass catching running back in the game because it's that whole little 5-6 yard out, 5-6 yard out, 5-6 yard out.
So are you saying that as far as running backs go, if it's a pass catching running back, the team situation may not have as much of an effect on that player?
Yeah. Look at Ben Roethlisberger. He can't throw past 10 yards, but Najee Harris is having a ridiculously good season.
Do you know off the top of your head who are some of the pass-catching running backs coming up in the draft? Rookies?
Yeah. Give me a few seconds here. I can pull it up because I know some of them, but not all of them.
Well, let me ask you this: What about when you raise the question, do team situations matter? Is it the same across the board for every position? Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, running back?
No. Because, like, let's say, because, like, no one would ever sit there and say that Trevor Lawrence, that Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence in terms of just raw skills. Most people were like, Trevor Lawrence is the guy, he's good to go, But you put him in a different situation and the quarterback can thrive. Daniel Jones has just been in a horrible situation. He could be a good, decent quarterback, but he's just been in a horrible situation. And then you have a kid like Dwayne Haskins. He got drafted in the 2019 draft. It's only about 3 years ago by the Washington football team.
Yep.
He's on the sideline playing with his phone on the Steelers bench now. Like, he was a first-round pick, and, sometimes it is just the player, too. It doesn't matter with the situation. It could have been a great situation, but sometimes it's just a player. All right, like Isaiah Spiller, Bryce Hall, those two guys are guys that had they're really good pass catchers. That's coming up.
Okay.
Isaiah Spiller and Bryce Hall, those are the two guys.
Okay.
And I think when it comes down to, other than the quarterback with team situations, it's more target percentage, usage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if your guy is, it's a bad team, but you're the only, like Brandon Cooks. It's a bad team, but he's the only wide receiver, and he's a decent wide receiver because everyone knows the ball's only going to go to him, and he still somewhat produces. So it's really like, what's your targets, and that's why I say yes and no, because the team situation, you're with the Jets, you kind of know that that's going to be it from the top down. They're always going to be a mess.
I'm trying to think of some other factors too. So I'm thinking about like timeshare in the backfield. Is he a possession receiver, or is he going to be on the outside stretching the field? Because on the surface, who would you rather take in a situation? If you know a guy's going to be a slot receiver, like a Jalen Waddle, or someone like a Jamar Chase, although Chase, you could argue, is an all-around pass catcher, but maybe like a Tyler Boyd or a Kirk that stretches the field. Who would you rather have, a possession receiver or the big play guy?
In fantasy, and you're doing points per reception, possession receiver.
Yeah.
And it also depends on how the offense uses, the stretch guy. Is it more of a, just to clear it out, and the tight end and the slot receiver and the running back is going to go right behind it, and so you might get those 85-yard, one pass plays for a touchdown every now and then because of the, broken coverage or something, but are you going to do that consistently? Or are you the kind of guy who's like, like a Randy Moss kind of thing, or even a Jefferson, where it's like, yeah, you stretch it, but they're also looking for you, and they're just slinging the ball all over the place. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you're a slot or if you're stretching it out, they're going to find a way to get it to you.
Yeah. I got something. I got a specific guy for you this year.
Okay.
T.J. Hawkinson.
Okay.
So bad team. Oh, and this illustrates the greater point, which is the guy who's the only target. You know, he's the one target. You've got you could read in one article that he's going to have a monster, crazy, insane season because he's the only guy that he's going to just his target share is going to be out of this world.
Yeah.
But then who else is the defense going to defend? So what would prevent them from double teaming the guy every game?
Right.
So like a TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts would fit in there, I think, too.
Right now, yeah.
How do you negotiate that? How do you navigate through that as an owner? Which side do you fall on when you're trying to decide if you want to trade for this guy or you want to draft this guy?
Right. And you have to, that's why coaching is so important. Because you think about, okay, like even the Patriots, they had Danny Amendola, not Danny Amendola, wow, Julian Edelman. Like, no matter what, he was going to get the ball. Or, you know, Brandon Cooks or TJ Hawkinson or, you know, these guys, they were going to get the ball. Like, they're there, that's it. That's all who they're going to get. Because that's all that they have. So now your schemes, your routes, your rubs, not picks, rubs.
Yeah.
It has to be designed to free that individual up. You know, and that's where coaching comes in. So if you don't have a good coach and you won't, or they can't, or a good offensive coordinator, I guess a good offensive coordinator is more important than a coach with that type of thing. So if you don't have a decent offensive coordinator who can come up with plays to get your lone guy, okay, we're going to rely on him to do it, then I have to find a way to get him open.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, you run 2 or 3 guys across and you have the tight end coming this way and it's a natural pick because the 2 defenders are going to run into each other. You know, or there's, you know, he blocks and then goes out for like that 5 or 6 yard and everyone kind of goes deep or, you know, slants or something like that. You know, you have to come up with plays that are going to open that up for that player.
So overall, what would you? Which way do you think the scale tips when you have the lone target, a T.J. Hawkinson, a Brandon Cooks, Kyle Pitts, Julio Jones for a long time?
Yep.
Which way do you think the scale tips? That guy becomes a beast, or that he is erased from the game virtually?
I guess it all depends on who's better, the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator, and the players. You know,
I think it tilts more towards the player disappears.
Yeah.
So when you're planning your team and a guy's getting a lot of hype, like a Hawkinson.
Yep.
I think because yes, there's not a lot of good coaching in the league right now, and there's not a lot of good quarterback play.
True.
I'll give you another guy. It was Mike Gesicki. I was high on Mike Gesicki at the beginning of the season because I felt like he and Tua had a chemistry, and I didn't know how much Waddle was going to play into the passing game.
Yeah.
And their wide receivers aren't that strong. And Gesicki's like 6'6", I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm like, this guy's got to have a great year. And I think Hawkinson's has had a worse year. And Gesicki's kind of been up and down.
Right.
But like, here's another guy, Braxton Berrios on the Jets.
Yep.
He's kind of like the lone guy right now. He's actually doing okay.
Yeah.
Which surprises me because the coaching's not very good and the quarterback play's not very good. But
Right.
I think they mix in some running plays for him too, which made
I think so, yeah. And I think with him, I mean, he's third in, I think, receiving yards on the team. I don't know what he is on passing catches. I forget. But I think he's third in receiving yards. But it's, Moore is taking a lot of attention. And Crowder, I think it is. Crowder? How do you say his name?
Yeah, Jameson Crowder.
Yeah, Crowder. He takes a lot of attention. So you have the kind of thing of, those two guys, the defense are kind of focusing on him. Berrios is coming out and getting that. I think just because Elijah, who's the running back there? Is it Elijah Moore? No, that's the running back.
Well, it's Michael Carter.
Michael Carter. Because he was like almost leading. He was up there with catching a lot of passes too.
Yeah.
But then he got injured.
Yeah, this is an interesting debate because I feel like the lone target guy always gets a lot of hype. And then there's a few people that will say, yeah, but defenses are going to be able to hone in on him. So I just had another guy that went through my mind. I guess like DJ Moore is another one.
Right.
Would you say he's a beast, or would you say that he's kind of a below average, kind of mediocre?
No, I would say he's on. I don't know about a beast, but I would say he's up there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only in his third season. I think he's in his third season, maybe fourth, if that. And he's over 1,000 yards. He's getting some touchdowns. He's always, but again, it's like they've also had Cam Newton twice already, Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, Allen. Who was it? There was some kid named Allen for a little while, like last season.
Yeah.
So, Teddy Bridgewater was there for a little bit. And he still produced over 1,000 yards. They had two 1,000 yards receivers last year in 2020. And Teddy Bridgewater was Kyle Allen in 2019. That's what it was. But Teddy Bridgewater was the majority of the quarterbacks last year. And him and Robbie Anderson were over 1,000 yards.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And I mean, they still finished 5-11, but.
All right. So here's my last question then. Going into this year's draft, as you're thinking about team situations, what are your top criteria that you're going to be looking at when you're drafting?
I think where some of these free agents go, especially with the wide receivers, there's a lot of wide receivers out there that are at the end of their deal. So where do they land? Quarterbacks, because it's not a strong quarterback class, these guys have to land in almost like the Mac Jones kind of situation. If any of these quarterbacks go to Houston or Detroit or the Giants, they're going to get destroyed. They're not as talented as the guys that are even there, some of them. But I think, especially with the, running backs is such a shelf life. And I don't even know if any running back is even going to be drafted in the first round this year. Like there might be 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Maybe. It's all going to be wide receivers and defense and offensive line.
Okay. So for wide receivers, I mean, for any position on offense, I'm looking, my top criteria is the organization. Is it a good organization, bad organization, which starts with ownership? And then what kind of coaching do they have? What kind of quarterback play do they have? And then I think a fourth one would be offensive line. Is the offensive line going to be able to protect the quarterback so that he has time to get the throws out?
Right.
And then that's what I'm looking at. Not so much talent. I mean, I think Jamar Chase was probably one of the highest rated, hyped up receivers that I can remember in recent years. And during preseason, he was dropping balls. Right. And it didn't take very long for people to start giving him thumbs downs and start doubting him. And so I think he went into a good situation with a good quarterback, good offensive line, good complementary pieces, pretty decent coaching. So, and then he's got the talent on top of it.
Right. Yeah, he has the talent. And I think the other part of it is what you were just saying with the quarterback as well. Good chemistry with the quarterback. Because like you've seen, I know like this year, there's been a few times that the quarterbacks come in and he's not throwing it to the main guy. He's throwing it to like the second or third guy because that's the one that he's been practicing with. And all of a sudden, like the second or third option becomes like the number one guy while the backup quarterback's in there because that's who he's comfortable with. You know, sometimes quarterbacks just focus in on one guy too. So
true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase all went to school together. They were there for what, 2 or 3 years together. And you know, so Joe Burrow knows what he has. He trusts them.
That's true. Oh, yeah.
You know, Tom Brady, if he trusts you, he's going to throw it in there. You're triple covered sometimes.
And you see that with Cooper Kupp and Stafford. They practice together. So there's that trust factor. So you got anything else on this?
No, not. I mean, yeah, it was just interesting, like, you know, and that's why I say a yes or no. Because it's like you look at some of the way that some of the teams handle certain positions and some of the way they handle certain guys. And, you know, it's like you can kind of see somebody going into a bad situation. Like, obviously, like you said, the Jets, Detroit. But even Amari St. Brown there, Amari St. Brown, I mean, he's starting to come on and it's like he still has Goff throwing to him, but I don't know how much of that is him understanding the game more and progressing, or teams are just kind of like, yeah, we just don't even care. You guys are the Detroit Lions. You know, because it wasn't like they fired anybody off their staff or anything. So.
Yeah, well, you would imagine, I would imagine that, especially in an organization like that that's just so poorly run, the guy has talent, but it's going to take him time to adapt to the NFL, to his team, his quarterback. Yeah, probably like a whole season, which is what we're seeing.
Right, because he was, I think, either third to fifth. He wasn't a first, even a second round pick. Mm-hmm. He was like that third, fourth, fifth round pick.
Yeah.
Type of thing, if I remember correctly.
All right. Well, that is the topic. Do team situations matter? Hopefully that was helpful. And we will see you in the next video. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get all our content. Peace out.